Hello and welcome back to another episode of Strong Collectors Comics. I'm your host Jordan, joined today as ever by my plucky co-host Dakota. Now we are rapidly approaching, or some of you maybe are already watching, Disney Plus's Ironheart. Dakota is much more of an Ironheart fan. I'd say you have quite an attachment, Dakota. I know you've liked the character for a while. You love the figures. You've got the... Is it the original first appearance, or it's the one that you like?
It's issue 1 of her story.
Okay. So I got nothing against Ironheart. You know, we've had our discussions about me being a little colder on the MCU, on and off. I did really like Thunderbolts. I enjoyed Daredevil. So I'm open to the possibility of getting my heart broken again. Pun intended on the heart. My heart is not made of iron. But I am open to it's not that I don't want to see the show, Dakota, but I feel like your excitement level is way higher than mine. And both for myself, maybe for our listeners, tell me what should get me excited about Ironheart, or what you're feeling like coming into the show here.
I mean, I think the main issue I'm seeing is like most people, like in the comments, it's so negative for Ironheart right now. Like, either on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, the comments are all like, "We didn't ask for this," and blah 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 blah. Like, you didn't ask for Moon Knight either. None of you knew who Moon Knight was until Moon Knight was in the MCU, and then you all lost your minds over Moon Knight. So, don't come at me with this Ironheart. Oh, who did this? Not my Iron Man.
Coming in strong. I like it though.
You don't even know the character. That's what I mean, hot take. None of you knew who Moon Knight was. So there's that.
Of that.
I mean, obviously there's going to be some people, but a majority, like, it was a very like D level, like way background character that people lost their minds over because
elevated by being given the spotlight,
and they've already decided
of the show,
right? And they've already decided that they hate the Ironheart show before they even see it. And I think maybe that's challenging because Ironheart is like, she's got the suit of armor like Iron Man, so everybody's like, oh, this isn't like the Iron Man we want. Like, either bring back Tony or whatever. It's like, again, it's kind of understandable because you probably just don't know who Ironheart is. I mean, I think people listening to this maybe also have, like, they've probably read comics and they maybe know, but like the average Joe that's upset online over this probably doesn't know the character, doesn't know that she's not trying to be Iron Man. Like, she's not trying to take over as Iron Man. It's another character. And again, like, yes, she's wearing a suit of armor just like Iron Man, but also so is Blue Beetle, so is, I can't remember what his name is, Star something from DC. Like, it's like every third superhero is a suit of armor character. So it's pretty Iron Man-y, but again, she's her own thing, not trying to take over for Iron Man, even though Iron Man does like mentor her in the comics. So I think that's cool. And she kind of does take over for Iron Man when Tony's dead, or, you know, like, superheroes don't die, so he's not actually dead. He's whatever. But again, I thought the comics were really cool. I liked them. They were fun. I think she's geared towards the younger crowd. So again, you got the old dudes online typing their angry stuff. Like, I would say she's even like younger generation than us. Not that we're, you know, we're no spring chickens, but we're also no old geezers either yet. But I think I'll say that too, is I think the older folks like us and older need to remember that we're not the only people that comic books are for. And if we are, then when we die, comics are done. Because if we're not bringing in newer viewers, newer readers, it's going to fizzle out way faster than it already seems like it is fizzling out. So I think there's an argument there too, is like, just because it's not for the 30 to 70-year-olds doesn't mean that it's not for the 10 to
this isn't
the
adult tour.
I will say, if they
kids,
and I will say that if they do some like crazy adult themes or something like that, then I would say, okay, now you're shooting yourself in the foot, Disney, because this should have been made for the younger generation. But if now the younger generation can't even watch it, like if it's at the same level as Daredevil was, you've completely missed the mark.
That's fair, and I think there is a place for doing that younger generation of heroes. I think that can be done very well. I think sometimes it's not rolled out as well. So but I think if you do that
Mm-hmm.
and do a good job of it, they could do something really cool with it. What I think is neat that it has going for it too is the Ryan Coogler, I believe, producing from coming in from Black Panther, and I think he's got a lot of great credits to his name, of course. So I think he kind of brings a different level of quality to the production. Then, because sometimes it's like you get these shows getting made, and it's like, are there real filmmaker or people who have like will really pay attention to the quality? And I feel like he's the kind of guy with his
Mm-hmm.
experience with the investment in the Black Panther franchise. He just did Sinners, which is a movie I really
Right.
liked that had some horror elements. And
Oh.
one thing that has excited me a lot about Ironheart, I remember just hearing this premise of like science or technology versus magic or the supernatural in some senses. And I think we've seen
Mm-hmm.
glimpses or at least heard about the Hood being in it. And I think that is a cool character to bring in, like street level with magic. And I don't know where it's going to go. And I haven't watched too many like ads or read a whole lot. But to me, that idea of technology and
Mm-hmm.
science going up against the supernatural is a pretty cool premise, I think. And like, how do those two work together or go against each other? Or what does one mean in a world where the other one exists? Almost like bringing in Iron Man, who started off in this very pretty grounded world and all this fantastical stuff was getting introduced. And I feel like they, in a way, now that Iron Man has been dead, he doesn't get to do as much of what we've been seeing with like this multiversal, almost even more fantastical, more magical, more out there
Mm-hmm.
world as you continue to expand with the comics. So yeah, I think having a character that is sort of the stand-in for the Tony Stark, for the technology, going through all that stuff and those different situations, I think could be pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it will be interesting to
Mm-hmm.
see the Hood as like part of the MCU, because I think he makes sense as like a villain for something like
Mm-hmm.
this, like an MCU series, because like you said, he's got some like mysticalness to him, but he's also very
Mm-hmm.
street level, I think, in the grand scheme of things. Like he's no like Thanos or anything like that, which I think makes sense to put him up
Mm-hmm.
against Riri. Like if Riri was going up against Kang,
Right.
I'd be like, I think
Mm-hmm.
she's a little out of her element. Like that's a little too
Right.
big of a bad. But the Hood is, he's a big deal, but he's
Mm-hmm.
not that big a deal that like I don't think she
Yeah.
couldn't handle it. So, and okay, I'll go back to you mentioned like the same crew doing this and Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. What was the reaction to Wakanda Forever? Because I thought people liked it, but now recently I've seen people being like, "Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
garbage movie" or whatever. Like, did people like
It's a
Wakanda
good
Forever?
question. I think at the time it was still kind of that. I think a lot of people didn't know what to make just because of the sudden, passing of Chadwick Boseman, and it's like, what's going on here? I think all things considered, for me, I
Mm-hmm.
think him having to kind of scrap whatever they were going to do with T'Challa versus Namor and this whole like thing to kind of
Mm-hmm.
reconfigure it to not have him in there. Yeah, I think we've had that discussion. I still think they could have made it work with getting a new actor for T'Challa. Maybe that's a hot take, but personally, I'll throw that out there. I think you could have made that work, and I
Yeah.
think that would have been a cool way to kind of extend the legacy of that character. But I think if you were to say we had to get rid of him to reconfigure it, all things considered, I think it turned out pretty well. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
I guess if people aren't considering that part, I think maybe the Shuri transition wasn't done as well for me. I don't see her sticking around as the mainstay Black Panther. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I thought the
yeah,
movie made me like
yeah,
Shuri a
I
lot
think so.
more.
And I
So
liked how they did Atlantis and Namor. I thought was really cool.
I've seen that was like maybe I think that was the comment maybe on one of our other episodes was somebody was talking about how they like totally ruined Namor and
Oh, I thought they
like
made him so cool.
yeah, okay, well maybe that was just
Yeah,
that one guy didn't like it. So I
maybe.
would be curious to know in the comment, like people in the comments, was Wakanda
Hmm.
Forever like it doesn't have to be the best MCU movie ever, but did you like it? Was it
Hmm.
good, enjoyable? But
Yeah.
another criticism I've seen, Jordan, for Ironheart is the casting of Slug is a drag queen playing Slug.
Mm.
And to me, who cares about Slug, honestly? Like that is not if I said nobody knew Moon Knight before, don't even tell me that Slug was in your top 100 favorite villains, because that's as far down the list as you could probably get. So does it really matter who's playing him? And are they even going to be?
All
Yeah, what are you going to say? All three people are.
I would say all three of the Slug
Right.
fans are up
Yeah.
in arms. There's at least 6 arms in
Yeah.
the air protesting.
So
against
that's
Slug.
one that I feel like is just like,
Yeah.
if you're upset about that, you're just searching for a reason to be upset about this movie, because that is like
Right.
one of the smallest details of a character casting that you could care about, but you're choosing to be upset about
Yeah.
it. Like, if they were going to like recast Tony Stark as somebody, and you're like, oh, well, like, that doesn't really make sense to cast them as like Samuel L. Jackson being Tony Stark. Doesn't make as much sense as Samuel L. Jackson being
Right.
Nick Fury. Tony
Right.
Stark is a A-list character. Slug barely registers as a character.
You're lucky Slug's even showing up.
So,
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. And I think that kind of tends to be what happens sometimes. It's like if people don't like it, and then there's like even whatever little thing I can find to criticize, whereas a lot of the bigger productions, people are real excited, are more willing to overlook those, you know. So, yeah, I think you should be equally critiquing if that's what you're doing as you go about it. But, yeah, I mean, I'm still curious about the show. Like I said, it's not like I'm like, I don't want to see it, I'm going to boycott, or I'm going to skip it. For me, it just hasn't been like, oh, I'm real excited, I'm looking
Sure.
forward to it. And maybe that's part of the thing, is we had a little glimpse of her character, but I know this show's been delayed quite a bit, so maybe part of it's like the gap. Like if this would have been like the movie comes out and, you know, 6 months later it's like the continued, or
Yeah.
a year later we're picking right up. So I do think that maybe has it going against it, but I'm sure if the first episode, first batch, I think it's a couple at a time, 3 at a time maybe, are like solid, then that would kind of build up excitement and kind of hopefully keep
Yeah.
that going.
I do think that is probably something the MCU as a whole could do a lot better about, is putting out like the movies. I do think should have like some separation, because I think, like, you know, when you were younger, you were like, you had to wait the year to see the next movie. But with the MCU shows, I think they would probably do a lot better if, like, this month, like, you know, June 1st is when, if it was Wakanda Forever comes out, then July 1st is when Ironheart starts. And then it keeps that character more relevant.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I just saw them in that movie, and now I'm going to see them like expand. And I think it works better with those smaller characters like Ironheart, because you're like, an Ironheart movie probably it's not going to make a big box office hit, clearly, with as much negative press as just the show is getting. But as a show, you can kind of explore the character more, and like, I'm excited to see how they do Natalie, and like, that to me is like,
right.
like, I feel like that's like a similar like origin story as like a Spider-Man Uncle Ben. But to me, it's like, I don't know, I felt, again, Spider-Man was like a long time ago. I already knew all that. Reading Ironheart and learning about the character, I was like, this to me is like almost more impactful as other, like, than other, maybe not Uncle Ben, but like other origin stories of like,
Right.
oh, like my friend this, and now I made him a like kind of an AI version of him. So I was like that's pretty cool. So I'm
Yeah.
interested to see how they do that, and kind of. But again, that's probably going to get people all woke, and they're like, "Oh, you can't come for my guns and stuff," and like, sure, all right,
Right. Well, we'll see how it all shakes out. But I do think your excitement makes me more excited for it. So I do appreciate that. So you let us know in the comments. Are you excited for Ironheart? Are you thinking, what's going on here? Is Dakota way out of line for being excited? You let us know in the comments what you're feeling, what you're looking forward to. Please be liking, sharing, and subscribing. Go ahead, go back and check out some of our other videos, because we're pretty proud of those. I think we got some good stuff there, Dakota. So if you haven't seen those, go check those out. And until next time, as always, stay strong.